The time is now 6 o'clock, and the Tuesday, September 12th, 2023 Kingsport City Schools Board of Education regular business meeting is now called to order. At this time, we have the pleasure of having two students from Washington Elementary, and I'm going to turn that over to Dr. True.
Ms. Woods, thank you so much. We are very pleased this evening to welcome you all here, or if you're watching us online. And well, we are really excited. We're going to welcome two Washington Elementary School student superstars to come up and help us say the pledge. We have Abram and Adellen Poff are going to come on up, and we would like to introduce you to the world, if that's okay. So camera's right up there if you want to kind of look that direction. So tell us a little bit. You guys are in, what grade are you in?
Third.
And?
First.
First. Okay, so we'll start with you. Who's your teacher in third grade?
Miss Blanton.
Miss Blanton. And who is your teacher?
Miss Hilton.
Okay, so two really good teachers with two really good students. So I'm sure exciting things are happening in those classrooms. What do you like to do at school when you're at Washington?
Probably do math. Go to gym.
Go to gym. I always enjoy gym as well. So, but when you're not at school, so think about when you're at home, what would we find you doing? What's your favorite thing to do when you're not at school?
Okay, play my Nintendo Switch.
Play your Nintendo. Do you have a particular game you like?
Don't know.
No, just any of it? Awesome. What about you?
Probably singing and dancing in my room.
Singing and dancing, are those talents you like to take out into the world, and where do you like to sing and dance out?
Probably in front of my parents.
Parents? I'm sure you have some stories.
I don't like to sing in front of a lot of people, so.
Okay, well, nothing wrong with that. Well, we are glad you are here to say the pledge, and if you all please stand with us. The flag is right over there. Right there. Okay, and I will hold the microphone whenever you're ready. Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, Abram and Adellen, thank you so much for being here, and we hope that you have a wonderful rest of the year. You know, it's not too long until fall break, but we hope you have a great rest of the year at Washington Elementary, and I'm sure that Ms. Wolf is so proud of you guys. Thank you for spending time with us tonight. At this time, I would like to ask for a motion to accept the agenda, which includes the consent agenda. Once the agenda is accepted, the board mutually agrees not to discuss any item of business or take any action that has not been accepted for the agenda. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, with that, we will move on to our public input. Pre-approved members of the community may address the board regarding non-agenda items for a maximum of 3 minutes each, unless otherwise stated by the board. In your remarks, you may not refer to students by name without permission from the parent or guardian. It is not the time to speak about personnel issues, as there are more appropriate ways in which these can be addressed. In order to speak on a topic not included on the agenda, you are asked to submit your request in writing to the superintendent of schools at least 3 business days prior to the scheduled date of the meeting. Is there anyone who is scheduled to speak on a non-agenda item? Okay, seeing none, I will move on for public input on agenda items. This is the time when members of the audience are invited to comment on agenda items. It is not the time to speak about personnel issues, as there are more appropriate ways in which these can be addressed. If you're not sure how to do this, please ask one of us after the meeting. In your remarks, you may not refer to students by name without permission from the parent or guardian. If you would like to speak on a topic not included on the agenda, you're asked to submit your request in writing to the superintendent of schools at least 3 business days prior to the scheduled date of the meeting. Now, if you would like to speak about an item included on tonight's agenda, please raise your hand. I request that you state your name and limit your remarks to a maximum of 3 minutes. Okay, and so seeing none, we will move along to our recognitions. Mr. Golden.
The College Board National Recognition Program celebrates students' hard work in high school and showcase their strong academic performance. The 4 national recognition programs include the National African American Recognition Program, the National Hispanic Recognition Program, the National Indigenous Recognition Program, and the National Rural and Small Town Recognition Program. The criteria for eligible students include a GPA of 3.5 or higher, a PSAT, NMSQT, or PSAT of 10 assessment scores that are within the top 10% of the assessment takers in each state for each award program, and earned a score of 3 or higher on 2 of the more AP exams in 9th and 10th grade, attend school in a rural area or small town, or identify as African American, Black, Hispanic, American, Latino, or Indigenous Native. And we are honored that we have not 1 but 2 recipients of these awards within our Kingsport City Schools. They are Malik Gamble and Oliver Winkler. I would invite them both to the podium. I'd like to come over here and take a picture with. You can.
Yes, I don't know if I. Okay. Didn't know I was supposed to. My fault.
No, it's okay. You don't have to.
Family, you're welcome to come over and get a closer look at that. I know you're very proud. Malik, congratulations, buddy. Congratulations again, Malik. We're so proud of you and look forward to hearing about all the wonderful things you do in the future. Best of luck to you in your future endeavors. We know you're going to be well prepared. Congratulations. Congratulations. We are now going to move. I keep moving things off. We're going to move into the business portion of our meeting, so if you would like to be dismissed at this time, you're more than welcome to. If you want to hang around and listen to some really exciting KCS Board of Education news, then you're welcome to stay, but please feel free to go ahead and exit if you'd like. With that, I'm going to have Mr. David Fry to come on up, and we will start the business portion of our meeting, beginning with an approval to accept a donation of a new audio system from the Kingsport YMCA for Robinson Middle School. Mr. Fry.
Good evening. Yes, the first item I have for the board to consider this evening is a donation of a sound system from the Greater Kingsport Family YMCA to Robinson Middle School. Kingsport City Schools does a lot of work with the YMCA in providing our after-school programs, and they have approached us to meet some of our needs, and one that was identified was a sound system at Robinson Middle School. So I'd recommend the board accept this donation valued at $28,587.60.
Thank you, Mr. Fry. Are there any questions? Is there any discussion? We're very grateful to the YMCA for their willingness to partner with us and provide some of these needs. Okay, hearing none, then the recommended action is to accept a donation of sound equipment from the Greater Kingsport YMCA valued at $28,587.60 for the Robinson Middle School auditorium. Is there a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. And Mr. Fry, if you'd like to move on to our next item.
Yes, ma'am. Second item I have for you is the consideration of a awarded bid for the boiler replacement at Jackson Elementary School. We opened bids on August the 23rd. There were 5 bids received, all very competitive bids. The low bid was from Premier Boiler and Combustion, LLC, in the amount of $86,175. We have a recommendation from Holston Engineering, who has been working on this project, to accept this donation. Look here and see, they are scheduled to complete this. Actually, they commence within 20 days of notice to proceed and complete the project within 1 week.
Wonderful. So
we'll have this boiler replaced and up and running before the cooler weather sets in. With the contingency and architect fees, it's a total project cost of $96,346, and this will be paid from out of our capital improvement funds and our regular operating budget.
this was already a budgeted item, we're
Yes.
just now,
Yes.
okay? Are there any questions or any discussion, the awarding of this bid? Okay, hearing none, then the recommended action is to enter into an agreement with Premier Boiler and Combustion LLC for the Jackson Elementary School boiler replacement in the amount of $86,175 and authorizing a 6% contingency of $5,171. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Keep rolling, David.
And next item we have for the board is the consideration of awarded bid for the Palmer Center interior renovations. I'd like to, and Dr. True is going to join us for this item. We opened bids for this project on September the 5th. We only received one bid from COMSA Construction. The base bid was $317,000, which was over our budget. If you'll recall that this project was one of 5 projects that the board authorized back in the spring, and we had an estimate, a total project cost on this project of $250,000. We have worked with the low bid, the loan bidder, to do some value engineering, and have identified $33,804 of reductions to that bid for a revised cost of $283,196. The architect firm of Kane, Rass, and West has recommended that we accept this bid. With the fees and contingency, the total project cost would be $316,743. Anything you want to add at this point, or?
Sure. Just, this has been a project we have been looking at for some time based on increased enrollment, especially special ed enrollment at Palmer. And what this will allow us to do, the work, the scope of the work is to take an adult area right now that's basically being used as a workroom, lounge kind of space in the front corner, and convert that to a classroom space for students. And that will allow us then to not have to utilize the gymnasium as a classroom space, or a portion of the gymnasium as a classroom space. It'll allow us to pull that, so that way the gym can be used by the entire school population. Also, one of a need that we got at Palmer is to be able to have a dedicated meeting space for conferences. Again, a lot of this work is being done to be able to help support special education programming. So to be able to have those meetings up front, this will also allow us to do some renovation in the front lobby area to provide a meeting space, so that as parents come in, that there'll be a space right there to be able to have those meetings. And so those are the two main components. There's also a small space, an office space that we're putting some pass-through, some doorways in to create a more back into the itself. But that's really the biggest component, is to create that additional classroom space up front because of the increased population that we're looking to serve. Doing this, again, this was a little bit over budget. Knowing that we were able to do some value engineering to pull that as much as we can back down, but to go ahead and move forward with this project now, we certainly feel is the best thing for the school to be able to have the work done. Ideally, the plan here is that this work would be done for second semester, so when we start moving into the winter, have that classroom space. Basically, at its core, we're converting an adult space. If you look in there right now, there's a die cutter and a stove and some other things. Better use that space for student use.
So the goal would be to try to be ready by January 1?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there could potentially be some compliance issues there on class size and that kind of thing.
As
so
those
that's what you're
numbers-
working toward.
Correct. As those
Okay.
numbers over the course of the year continue to rise, we want to be able to have that addressed by the time we get into second semester. And again, to make the gym space available that may not be able to be used.
One other question I had, the 1 through 9 items that have been removed, are those items that could in the future be put back in?
It depends on the specific items as you look
Okay.
through those. Some of them are things that would not be able to, like for instance, one of them is we're going to handle doing the floor waxing as opposed to having it done as a part of the project. Some of that, of those items are just some pencil sharpening, for lack of a better way to say it, by the subs, and some of it is, one of them was casework to take out. I think we've got some other ways we can do shelving in there and those sorts of things. The changing of the metal, the storefront, that is not really something we would do that we would change further out to go to a metal. Again, one of them in the toilet is to use a fire retardant panel instead of tile. Could we go in there and tile in the future? Yes, it's a student bathroom. Would we? Probably not. And then there is one thing, there was an $1,800 item for wall accents. Basically, there's a couple of doorways that we are going to abandon because of the way the construction is going to work, and we were just going to kind of go over the top of those with kind of an accent piece. I think that's something we can do internally on our own rather than having it put in the project. So yes and no, I guess, the answer to your question. Some of it would not be able to, but some of it we can do.
You have any idea of what the square footage of this particular room is?
I don't know if I have that specifically.
I don't see it in the drawing.
Dr. Lewis, do you have any idea by chance? Suzanne Lewis is here, principal at Palmer, by the way. Square footage of that room? Yeah, we can get that for you. I don't know the exact space. Yeah.
Other questions?
How disruptive is this going to be to the classrooms? I mean, if it's happening right there, we're trying to move, and of course, I have ADHD when it comes to construction and
Sure.
noise and stuff, so how disruptive is that going to be to our other students if it's going to be happening during the school period?
The location of the work will help minimize that to some extent because it is in the front corner of the building and it has an exterior door to it, so they wouldn't necessarily have to come through the school to get into that workspace. Now, the lobby area, on the other hand, that is something that, but again, that is not in the school space, that's in that front area behind the locked doors that go into the school. Just by nature, there's some pieces to this that we'll be able to kind of keep separate from the actual school activities. One thing I didn't point out that, again, things that we're kind of taking on our own, there's some work to be done in the lobby to prep in order to get it ready. We're going to do that off project to be able to. Typical in buildings, asbestos up in the ceiling, and with the structure, we're going to do the work on that to get that ready to go on our own over fall break when kids aren't in the building, so that way it'll be prepared and ready for them. So hopefully by doing it in the lobby, overflow break, for instance, why you kind of sparked my thoughts on that, and then the room itself being a little bit more segmented, we should be able to keep it hopefully as least disruptive as possible just by nature of it.
So it sounds like a lot of the contractors and people aren't going to have easy access into the building and our children during the work. If it's separate access
There are some
points.
doorways, there are some, for the major components that would not put them directly in a student space.
Okay, any other questions for Dr. True or Mr. Fry? Okay, then the recommended action is to enter into an agreement with COMSA Construction for the interior renovations for Palmer Early Learning Center for the base bid less value engineering options in the amount of $283,196 and authorizing a 6% contingency of $16,992. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, I think the motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Fry?
One final item I have for you is the approval to purchase some vans. We have been trying to purchase some vans, it seems like for the last year. It's been a while. It's been a while. And I'm bringing this to you to get advance approval without knowing for sure that we're going to be able to purchase these vans. And I'm asking for approval to purchase up to 5 vans. I don't know if we are able to purchase them. I don't know that we'll be able to purchase 5. We would like to purchase 5 vans. We've been working very closely with Steve Leonard, who's a fleet maintenance director with the city of Kingsport, and he most recently got information that a dealership, the Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat of Columbia, Tennessee, has a state contract and for a Chrysler Pacifica van with a cost of $41,690. We would like to purchase 5 vans. 3 of them would go to Dobbins Bennett and to add to their to add 2 vans to their fleet. One of the vans that at Dobbins Bennett, we have been working with them for the past year or more. We would use some of our school fund operating money to pay them a fair market value for one of their older vans, which is still a good van, but it would go to Cora Cox to replace the old van at Cora Cox, which would be much better than the van that they've got there. The other 2 vans, one would go to Sevier Middle School. If you'll recall, the donation that we received for special education that the board accepted recently, one of the things that was programmed into that donation when they were talking to the donor was the ability to purchase a van in order to transport some special education students back and forth between Sevier and basically CTE at Dobbins Bennett. The last van would go to Robinson Middle School. Their PTA is ready and willing to make a donation, maybe not to cover the full cost of the van, but maybe to cover the full cost of the van. And if not, then some of the money would come out of their internal funds. So we're requesting, we've been told that we could possibly place an order on October the 1st. We have this going to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen because it's over $50,000 resolution for them to approve the purchase of these vans at their next meeting, so that when October 1st rolls around, hopefully we can pull a switch on this and order these vans. So recommend that the board approve the purchase of the the 5 Chrysler Pacifica vans at a cost of $41,691 each off the state of Tennessee contract from the dealership of Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat of Columbia, Tennessee.
Are there any questions for Mr. Fry? I know this has been an issue, I think, as long as I've been on the board, trying to purchase vans. So this is maybe light at the end of the tunnel.
They're just discontinuing some of the vans that they're making. They're redoing some of their production lines to produce other vehicles.
Well, it's difficult to get any vehicles right now. Okay, questions?
Well, and this is, the Pacifica is not like the typical vans that we've bought for transportation. I mean, these are actually like, they're all passenger vans.
It's like the van that you or I would
Like
go to the
minivan,
dealership
like
and buy. I mean,
Gotcha.
the vans that you go to, the 6 or 7 vans that you see parked at DB right now, it's my understanding that we will not be able to purchase vans like that in the future. No, they're not. No, they're not. These are more like the vans that we have parked out here in our parking lot.
And I apologize, is it that we have to purchase through purchasing agreement? Like there's no dealership in Kingsport that will sell you a one-off van and then we buy another one when one becomes available?
No. We can't get them.
And you have to purchase them new?
Don't have to purchase them necessarily new, but it's highly recommended that we purchase them new because we just don't know the history on them.
Sure.
Other questions or discussion for Mr. Fry?
What was the one at Robinson earmarked for?
For
The
their-
special ed as well?
No, that would be more used for their athletics.
Okay.
How much would end up coming out of our own budget? Just rough estimate.
Out of our budget, the cost to purchase the used van from Dobbins Bennett, probably about $20,000.
Okay, so the rest is of the
The
cost?
rest would come out of Dobbins Bennett activities in their van replacement account, from the grant funds and from the Robinson PTA and/or their internal accounts.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Fry? Discussion? Okay, the recommended action item then is to approve the purchase of up to 5 Chrysler Pacifica vans at a cost of $41,960 each from Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat of Columbia, Tennessee. Is there a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hey, thank you so much, Mr. Fry. Dr. True, glad you didn't go far.
Good evening. We have, circling back to the policies that we discussed at the work session, we have 4 policies for approval, 1 on second reading, which is a new policy, and then 3 for the first time on first reading. The policy we'll have for you on second reading is policy 3.204, threat assessment team. This is, again, based on a change in state law that requires a threat assessment policy to take place, to be on the books. And so, again, already in existence for us in operation, but making sure that the policy exists as well. So 3.204, again, you have voted once last month on this already, but it's coming back for a second reading to this time. Code of Ethics 1.106 is the first policy coming to you that's a revised policy. This, again, is based on the requirement in law that a designee is identified as the point of contact for the Tennessee Ethics Commission. You find that on page 2, lines 7 through 9. Again, we discussed this at the work session, bringing it to you for consideration. Setting as well for vote, as is 1.400 school board meetings. That outlines the specifics in law as far as what type of remote attendance can occur. There are some very specific items of why electronic attendance can occur for board members. And so that is basically putting in our policy the specifics in the law as far as for what and how many that you can attend remotely So that's 1.400. And then 1.404.
Can I
public.
ask a question
Yes,
on
ma'am.
that before we move on? Because when I was reading this, if you add up all of the dates, it's basically 10 times a year that a school board member can call in remotely, which is pretty much, if they have all their ducks in a row, they cannot be here physically to call in. When we were at TSBA in July, we specifically asked that question, and they said the 2 would count that normally we have for, if we're out of the county for work, which would be 2, and then the others would be like a 2 total. It wouldn't be that I could have, 2 for health issues and 3 for inclement weather and 2 because somebody in my family's dying. So reading this, I'm not sure which is the correct answer. Can a board member really miss every meeting all year long? That's what it's saying.
It was funny, this came up in the fall thing, in the Law Institute too.
Yeah.
There was a lot
Yeah.
of talk about some board member somewhere who never went to any meetings and
That was
kept
the
getting
one-
elected over and over.
That was the one in Gatlinburg when
Yeah.
we were all there.
Yeah.
And that's why when I read it, when
Do we have
the
any option, I mean, I have an issue with it because I think it could potentially restrict our candidacy pool for people doing different kinds of jobs. And this would certainly get my attention. But we don't have any options, do we, as far as changing the numbers of, it was dictated to us.
It's specifically in code as far as how many you can miss for what reason. So that it's not for instance,
It wasn't an aggregate number, it was like
correct.
each excuse.
Yes, and that's in PC 350 is what spells that out.
And that's what's kind of spelled out here, but I know when we asked Ben Torres at the Gatlinburg thing, the question was asked, and he said it was still a matter of, you get 2 additional days, basically. Because I think somebody did specifically say that somebody could call in theoretically because if you look at it, 2 times if you've got hospitalization or death, you've got the 2 times for being out of county, you've got the 2 times for you being sick or, and if you've got a doctor's note, and then you have 3 days for being inclement weather. So I could miss December, January, and February due to inclement weather. I could miss, March and April because I'm sick. I could miss October and September because my husband's dying, I don't know, but that's just, so Ben gave us one answer at that meeting, which is different than what this document is saying. That's why I'm asking the question.
So the question is, let's say that you had a board member do that, is it that we just don't allow them to call in?
They can't call in. That was the thing, is that you can call in for so many meetings, but, and even though you have to be visible, but not being present, it came into effect on how engaged are you, and are you voting under duress? So that's kind of where it came, because theoretically, she could be on there right now, but I could be sitting there, with a gun to her, hate to use that word, but I don't know what's off of her screen, threatening her to vote a certain way. So that's what the dialogue was, is that you can call in a certain number of times to, on a voting meeting, because they want to make sure that that is really who you are, and that, because back to what Mr. Dean's saying, he got elected. Well, you really didn't, but not this time. Anyway, you got elected, Todd, and so, the voters expect you to have a vote, not somebody sitting off your screen threatening you with your job or safety or something else. And so that's where that number came from, and that's why they don't want you to call in on a voting meeting, because they want to make sure, but they want to be flexible enough because they understand people travel, and they want to be part of the meeting, but they don't want you calling in on vacation. They pretty much made that clear. If you're on vacation, you're on vacation.
But that's just for voting meetings, it's not for work sessions.
Yes.
So there's nothing governing work session
Nope.
calling in, so you could do that remotely.
But it's the voting meetings that they had that whole discussion on.
Gotcha.
And so they only wanted it basically 4 times a year is what came out in the Summer Law Institute in July.
I think it states in there that the board president has to be able to
See the person.
see the person before they approve their attendance. There has to be a quorum, a live quorum, yeah.
But I can still, I mean, I can
Sure.
be here and she can see me, but she
Sure.
can't see
Yeah.
Vivian.
Yeah.
And Vivian might be choking my dog. I don't know. Might be stealing my chocolate.
And I can't definitively speak to that particular issue. There is nothing in the particular public chapter that lists any kind of maximum number, nor in the model policy that was provided to us. So I can, obviously, your desire, if you request further research on this, I'm happy to do that, but there's nothing specifically in the code that lists any kind of maximum, except for the maximums listed for each individual.
I would feel
Individual.
better having a little bit more research on that because of the discrepancies in answers that we've gotten both in July and also it was brought up again at the regional meeting that we had. So I think there's a lot of confusion on this. And so that would be my preference, is to make sure we have everything lined up with what the state wants.
So I represent the board with the policy committee, which is Andy, I guess. So can we be a little bit more specific? We can really get into the weeds on this. So can we be specific what we want to know? Be real more specific on what we need to research?
Seems like the question is there a maximum total days regardless of reason, even if it's an approved reason? Is there a total maximum number of meetings that a board member may attend electronically? Is that correct, Ms. Byers? Is that summarized?
Yes. Is it really 10 or is it 4 or is it, because it used to be 2 and then you've added all these other excuses, so.
And 350, it does not.
It does not speak to that.
Does not speak to it.
And again, there are some stipulations, for instance, for the inclement weather is only if the schools are closed. So that's not necessarily at the discretion of the board member. It would be if we were closed, then you would be able to do that. A qualifier on that one. But certainly I can, I'm happy to, if you would elect to table this particular policy, I'm happy to research that.
So are you clear on what we need to figure out?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, thanks.
And then 1.404, public communication at board meetings. Again, that really is in response to the recent law that requires a public comment period on meetings where there is voting action occurring. We have obviously done that for many years, but we went ahead and added that in our policy. And also the wording in the model policy that the board president has the authority to terminate the remarks of an individual who violates state law. And so that's added into 1.404. So I bring these to you. If I may suggest that I'm actually bringing 3.204, 1.106, and 1.404 for action, and then I would assume we will need to.
How about we do that first? How about we table, is there a motion to table 1.400 upon further investigation of the
No.
true meaning?
Motion to table 1.404 until we get clarification.
400.
1.404.
1.400.
Oh, I thought it was
Yes, 1.400.
that
Okay.
one, I motion to.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And so then the next motion for approval would be for policies 1.106, 1.404, and 3.204. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you.
Dr. True. Okay, and with that, we may be a record here for efficient and prompt meetings. Yes, and they're meant to be broken. So thank you, everyone, for preparing prior to tonight's meeting. Our next meeting will actually be a special called meeting on September 26th and that will be just prior to our work session. So more details will be sent to each board member and also be published on that meeting. Then we'll have our regular October monthly meeting will be October 10th, our business meeting, and October 24th will be our work session. And there's also a tentative board retreat scheduled for November 8th. So Dr. Hampton, I think, will begin work on that. So there'll be further information coming on that. Yeah.
So is
Dr.
that dates that we need to definitely block that date off?
Yes.
Dr. Hampton, is there anything that you want to add? I know you are headed back to Gatlinburg.
In the morning.
In the morning?
the
Yeah,
morning.
so thank you very much for driving back from your conference, and so wish you safe travels. And we have a home football game this Friday against Asheville, if I'm not mistaken. So I hope everyone will go out and support not just football, but volleyball and soccer and all kinds of things that are going on right now. Okay, with that, then we are adjourned. Roll Tribe.